My man Young.
Yes. Yes.
Kenny Young.
Yeah. Brady doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah. Speaking of that hit, that's probably one of the top 5 hits I've ever seen on a quarterback.
Yes. Oh my god.
And I'm surprised he didn't get a flag for that shit either. Because you usually
some of it was like, dude, you should have strapped your helmet on tight.
Right.
Man. Like, come on now.
Especially when the helmet went flying. I thought, I was like, oh my god, he about to get the biggest fine.
Yes.
And he about to get a fucking 15-yard penalty and all that shit. But
that kid would have shut up like, yo, I only got my first check. What are you talking about fining me for right now, man? Let me at least get like one regular season game.
That hit was so beautiful, man. I was like, yo, as a defenseman, man, you dream of hitting somebody.
Yeah,
like that.
You absolutely do. And continuing with Tom Brady just a little bit, I know there were dudes on defense that were praying to get a hit like that on him. And there's only been a few dudes in history.
Yeah, you really can't think of no hits where it's like, damn, Tom Brady got fucked up right there.
There was a Bills game he played in. I forget. I want to say it was Takeo Spikes that hit him.
Yeah,
that popped him in one game. This was like, I forget how long Tom Brady had been playing. I don't even think he had half the rings he had yet. But there was a game in Buffalo. Tom Brady was trying to, I think it was behind the line of scrimmage, but he was trying to make a move, and Takeo Spikes just came in and said, fuck that dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you ain't coming any further. And he got popped. His helmet came off at that point, I think. But yeah, there's only maybe not even 5 dudes that have popped Brady that hard.
I remember the Super Bowl when they played the Giants that first time. He was getting fucked up pretty good in that game.
And that was a big factor in the Giants win. Like the defense, I remember, man, watching that game, and it's still, in my opinion, still probably the greatest football game I watched because the Patriots lost. Like
the whole meaning of that game, like there's 18-0.
Yeah,
like there's the hated Patriots. They fucking got the Spygate shit. Everybody calling them cheaters.
Yeah.
It's just like everybody's just like fuck Patriots.
I remember there being names. Because I wasn't really a Giants fan. I was still a little bit salty before that because I was rooting for the Packers to win that year.
Yeah, I was too.
I was rooting for the Packers, Patriots, Super Bowl, and I was assuming Brett Favre was going to win and retire.
Right.
That year. But in that game, in that Super Bowl, I wasn't a Giants fan. I think the only dudes, the one name on defense I totally remember, obviously was Michael Strahan. But there were other guys like on the line, that I never heard of.
They had Justin Tuck. They had OCU.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should remember them. But they had them. But there were like 1 or 2 other names I did not recognize, and their names got called because they got past the line and they got hits on Brady. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Do your thing, all right.
Yeah, they was out there for blood, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That game was crazy. They put out what they was calling the NASCAR package, where it was basically like 4 defensive ends, and they just lined them up and just like, go get them.
Yeah, just go.
Like 3rd and longs, that was a nightmare for them.
Just go. Yeah.
That was a great game.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the NFL in general, so, the big controversy right now that's going on is the Jay-Z deal that he inked. I really don't know too much details about it. I just know that I read like the headlines about it and read a little bit of stories.
Yeah.
So I can't really give my full opinion on it, but from what I understand about it is that he signed like a deal in which he's going to be kind of collabing with them to do the halftime shows at the Super Bowl,
right?
Planning that out, and then eventually he's saying that he kind of wants to use this as an avenue to maybe potentially getting to ownership, in the NFL, which, by the way, has never had a black owner. Period.
Right? They haven't.
Right.
I don't know too much about it either. I'd like to try to keep up on as much news as possible. I might be one of those rare. I guess you say millennials that actually wants to watch the news or read news articles or whatever. It's one thing if you want to care about, because social justice is a big ass thing, and that's putting it mildly. As far as like people like us, we have to give a shit about what's happening in our communities. Heck, I could walk out right now and not come home safe, because that's how it is for black men, black people, or people of color. That being said, I give a shit about news, period. I try to watch news, weather, sports, all that. I need to be informed. I need to be aware as much as I can about what's happening out there, in my city, my neighborhood, my world. In talking about this particular thing, I didn't read too much into it. I know, what you had said. Basically, he inked the deal. He's involved at least with the media aspect of the Super Bowl. The halftime show. He's being that kind of
And the controversy with it is that he's a supporter of Kaepernick, who's been blackballed by the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
And then Jay-Z was saying that in songs and shit, like I don't fuck with the NFL. I'm declining Super halftime shows and such and such.
Yeah. Obviously, you got people on both ends of the spectrum, if you will. You've got people feeling real extreme about it, going, "Yo, he sold out." And I'm like, well, okay, let's not jump to too many conclusions. And even some of the things he had said has caused some controversy. Like, what kind of confused me was when he had said, well, we're past kneeling, it's time for action. And I'm like, well, how do you think you're going to go about the action part of it when officially your role right now, currently, it seems, with the NFL is for the show of it? Like, where's the action in it? Mm-hmm. Like, as far as, not kneeling anymore. And kneeling is a peaceful protest, last I checked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that.
It's crazy. It's crazy how they fucking hijacked that whole protest.
Yeah. I understand what Jay-Z means by that statement. Yes, it's a time for action. Why don't we do things, or why doesn't the NFL do things or do more so that its players don't have to kneel? Or if they do choose to kneel, let's not make such a big deal out of it. Like, give it back. Like, y'all hijacked it. Give it back.
Yeah.
Give it back. Like, the moment they had, I go back to, and I mean, I'm not really a Cowboys fan, but I just felt really uncomfortable when I saw them kneel before a game, like before the anthem was played and all that.
Yeah.
And I saw, come at me if you want to, I saw that plantation owner, Jerry Jones, excuse me, kneeling with his players, and I'm like, y'all know this is bullshit, right?
Right.
Like, it's total. This is y'all hijacking it. This is not what it's meant for.
Right.
But anyway, going back to Jay-Z, I can't hate on him too much for what he's doing so far. I don't want to say I'm taking the high road. I'm giving him a little bit of benefit of the doubt and assuming that this is a foot in the door for him to maybe get more involved with whatever the NFL is doing.
Right.
And if he does become, at least a part owner or a full owner of a team, cool. I gotta wonder what that does for Roc Nation, though. I've never heard of a black owner in the NFL, but I don't think I've ever seen an owner also potentially represent players he's trying to sign.
That's the point.
That's something that just came to mind. I mean, he doesn't just represent, and it escapes me right now if he does represent any current NFL players. I know he represents, some basketball players, and I want to say that came up. That was a topic of discussion. I forget who it was, but I think there was someone who was playing for the Brooklyn Nets who was represented by Roc Nation.
Yeah.
Maybe not currently, but at one point it was. It was like, wait, is that okay? Like, how does that work? Is that not necessarily legal, but is that okay? Like in the NBA?
Well, Brooklyn, I don't think he has any ownership.
Doesn't have any stake anymore.
Yeah, I think he sold that.
Okay,
and then I think Brooklyn
probably to avoid that kind of thing.
Yeah, actually, that might have been it. He might have sold his ownership share with the Nets to start the sports agency. And then, so
I might be ignorant to the facts,
right.
So,
and I'm not even sure that's completely right myself. So,
right.
But like my whole mindset on this one here is I'm thinking like, okay, I'm trying to put myself in Jay-Z's shoes.
Yeah,
I'm like, yo, what is the end game right here?
Right.
because like the kneeling, like the kneeling aspect of it, that's pretty much has been hijacked.
Yeah,
like they took the reason like Kaepernick started kneeling was for social injustices, police brutality going on against minorities and people of color in the United States. Yeah, and then mainly when Donald Trump got involved into it, saying the son of a bitches should all be anybody that kneels are son of a bitches and you need to go blah 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 blah, and then you're disrespecting the troops and the flag and and it's never really was. That wasn't the point. They wasn't trying to disrespect the troops. Yeah, actually, it was an actual. I don't know if he's in the army or it was a military member who had a discussion with Kaepernick, who said instead of sitting down, it'll be more respectful if you knelt during the national anthem.
His name, I believe, is Nate Boyer. I think it is. But yeah, that's who it was. Right. The two of them, Kaepernick and Boyer, sat down. Yeah. Talked it over like normal people and found common ground.
It's crazy how shit works.
And again, it was his idea. It was Boyer's idea, or at least suggestion. Take a knee. That's what we do. Yeah. And it's not funny. It's definitely not a surprise at this point in time that nobody's talking about that. Or when it is brought up, they've just kind of just swept that under the rug. Yeah. Like, okay, whatever. In fact, I want to say Boyer was on Fox News once or twice, and he had explained it, and they just kind of put that to the side. Yeah. Like that's not the narrative we're trying to push. No. Never mind. You don't know what you're talking about, or not necessarily you don't know what you're talking about, but we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on this son of a bitch over here. Right. Nobody's talking about him. I'd like to think he's caught some hate. Talking about haters before, I like to think Boyer has caught some hate because some people, didn't let that go. It was like, why'd you tell him to kneel? Right. But I'm going to take Boyer's word for it. He's a military man. I'm not. He knows better than I do. And again, Kaepernick and Boyer sat down and again talked it over like normal people and found common ground like people should. Yeah. And he's been carrying that on through all this time. We haven't seen Kaepernick kneel, obviously, because he's been blackballed. He hasn't had a football team to play on to do such a thing. Right. But other players have been kneeling, like Eric Reed and Kenny Stills. And I want to say a few other ones might be still at this point in time. There are still other athletes kneeling. Megan Rapinoe was kneeling. She's, if not one of the most popular female soccer stars right now. She was on the team that just won the World Cup. Yeah. And I believe she still kneels. She has her own reasons for kneeling, but the concept is still the same. Right. I forget who, and nobody's talking about this guy much as far as I know. There's a fencer. For those of you who don't know what fencing is, it's sword play, almost, if you will. It's an Olympic sport. It's an international sport. But at the Pan American Games that just happened, at least a couple of weeks ago, at least a few weeks ago, this Caucasian gentleman, part of the U.S. fencing team, they won gold. So they have to. This is how it is in international play. Especially in Olympic and world level play or competition, where whichever country wins the gold, that anthem is played. The U.S. won the gold in fencing. They played a national anthem, and this white man knelt on the podium. He had two other players or two other teammates with him that stood or whatever, had their hands over their hearts perhaps, but this white gentleman knelt, and he had the same reasons or concept for kneeling like Kaepernick did. Yeah. Nobody's really giving him a lot of flack. I mean, he's probably, if he has a Twitter account, it's probably blown up. Or he's definitely got some heat on there. But nobody's really talking about that guy as much as Kaepernick or anybody else of color just doing it. Yeah. But again, this white gentleman had these same reasons for kneeling to bring, awareness to social injustice, police brutality, everything under that unfortunate umbrella. Yeah, I don't know.
think maybe
I don't know what the end game is for Jay-Z. I don't think he, before I lose his train of thought, I don't think he is selling out. Think what you will of Jay-Z, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, that's my thing. He's a very smart man.
Yeah.
And I think he knows what he's doing.
He's not going to put